Well, hi there, Amanda.
Well, hi.
We're back
Back in
on our
black.
bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Back in black. As promised last week, which was for us like 15 minutes ago, we are going to dig a little deeper on our feelings and opinions about this whole autism, neurodivergence, whatever, as an excuse. Hi, I'm Nikki. That's Amanda. We're a podcast. We do podcasty things. We're also two best friends navigating the neuroverse together because we're living in a neurotypical world and we're not neurotypical girls. And I know I just did our intro all backwards, and I'm sorry if that really upset anyone's tism. It did mine a little bit as I was doing it, but it's fine. I'm still a little really from the last thing we recorded. Um, and my house has been a little bit chaotic today, so I'm on slight bus of struggle, but we're making it work. Um, I predict this may not be as long as our last episode was,
Yeah.
but it's very possible that it could be. So I say we waste no time. Again, sorry for coming at you at the very beginning of the year with some heat and some tea and some frustration. But such is life.
And I also, once again, want to preface this as last week. Um, we are kind of following up with last week's topic about the whole Blake Lively thing and the Baldoni thing, um, her complaint, her lawsuit. We are recording this on Christmas Eve, December 23rd. So if there's been any updates since then, between December 23rd and when this airs, that's why. If it sounds like we're using outdated information, if it comes out that she lied about everything and she's actually a terrible person, she eats babies, bathes in the blood of children, whatever, we're going with information as of December 23rd. So take that with what you will.
Right. So,
Yes.
do we want to I'm sorry, I'm trying to form my thought. Uh do we want to continue the Blake Lively conversation? Do we want to sprinkle it in?
We kind of were following up with, we ended last week's episode with, he is blaming, like, or is excusing all his behavior with the fact of a was like a recent ADHD diagnosis, because I think it said it was recent, like he hasn't known that he's had it, like it just all of a sudden he was diagnosed with ADHD. Which, not saying he's not, could not care less whether he is or isn't. It's more the fact that he's using it as an excuse to explain why he's skeezy and creepy, and he's just blaming it all on him being awkward. Uh
Right.
yeah, and so basically him saying like, "Oh, well, I added all these like sex scenes and I basically sexually harassed people and did things without their consent and walked in on them and stared at their boobs while they were breastfeeding or whatever. It's all because I have ADHD. I can't help it." It's, sir, no. Just no. And so basically we're kind of leading into that, like using neurodivergency, whether that's autism, ADHD, bipolar, what have you, as an excuse for your behavior. Can it explain certain things about your behavior? Yes, but you can't act like a complete asshole and just say, "Oh, sorry, that was my autism," or "that was me being bipolar." Like, especially time and time again. Like I said last time, like a one-off, sure, like him walking in on her like while she was breastfeeding, like if he would have just been like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize," like cuz he walked in without knocking or didn't wait for her to say come in and just left, fine. That's cuz I've done that, not on being naked people, but not naked people, but like having walked into someone's office without waiting for them to say come in. uh that's normal and fine. Where he just was pages and pages and pages of this complaint of him showing this behavior, and then him saying it all boils down to, "I'm neurodivergent, I have no idea what I'm doing." And basically that's what we're kind of getting into.
Right. So, here's how I feel about this as a blanket statement in general of using your neurodivergence as a scapegoat
Or a crutch.
or a crutch. Um, just in general, my feelings on the matter. It is unacceptable behavior from anyone for any reason, period. There might be a good reason why something occurred, and there might be a legitimate time and place to say, hey, um, I'm sorry this awkward encounter took place. Um, I struggle with, social understanding social cues, and I'm very socially awkward. It stems from the fact that I'm autistic or that I have ADHD or insert whatever thing here. I'm really sorry if I made you uncomfortable. I promise I'll work on that, in the future. There's a way to do it, right? There's a
Right.
way to handle these situations when we inevitably make someone uncomfortable, neurodivergent or not, okay? But even in my own house with my children, there is never an excuse for you to use your diagnosis to get out or explain away, get out of a situation or explain away your bad fucking behavior. Okay? Accountability is still required
Mm-hmm.
because the behavior still happened. Whether there was a reason for it or not, it still happened. You still made someone uncomfortable. You still did something wrong. You still committed a crime, whatever. Insert bad thing here, right? So you still have to be held accountable, neurodivergent or not. Okay? There will be some circumstances where that may not apply. Maybe in the case of someone who is profoundly autistic, we're talking a level 3 individual who maybe is nonverbal, might get physical, things like that. I am not talking about level 3 autistic individuals or people with severe mental disabilities, mental capabilities, or physical capabilities or whatever, severe mental illness where they're essentially not able to care for themselves. I am not talking about that. What I'm talking about and what I want to stick to on this is people who are able to articulate the fact and are aware of the fact that they have a disability of some kind, autism, ADHD, and who are able to work in a workplace or carry themselves on a platform online or be a director and owner of a fucking movie company or a famous recording artist or whatever. If you're of sound mind enough to be able to do all of those things, you are capable of learning how to operate in society enough to not be sexually harassing people, infringing on people's rights, abusing people, genuinely being just a fucking asshole at all times and instances in your life, okay? You're capable of learning and growing and understanding that you might be different and people might view you differently, but it's not a free license for you to be a fucking terrible human. That is my blanket statement on the matter. What's your blanket statement on the matter?
Basically, like you said, don't use an excuse. When it all comes down to it, we live in a society, right? Like, there are society, like, social rules. Like, whether you agree with them or not, I understand they tend to lean more towards neurotypicals, and I understand that's not fair. But there's just a general moral compass that as a whole we have. So if you're acting like an asshole, you're outside the norm, whether or not you're neurodivergent or neurotypical. It does not matter. Like like I said, a one-off thing happening fine. But like if it's a general pattern of behavior, you're basically encroaching on, in my very non-therapist, non-psychiatric diagnosis of like sociopathic tendencies. Like if you generally do not care, like have no empathy towards other people and how you act or behave or what you say, you can't just excuse it on your neurodivergency, not to the extreme that like he was or like other people tend to do when like and I brought up this to Nikki earlier. It's kind of like how like autistic coded characters in like shows. And we can get more into that later if you want, but like say like Sherlock, like the new Sherlock, like Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock, like he's very autistic coded. He describes himself as a sociopath as kind of like a joke. And like say Sheldon from Big Bang Theory. Sheldon, yes, he has empathy. Like he likes people. He has friends. He gets has a wife, whatever in the show. But he's very autistically coded. I don't think they ever say that he's autistic. They kind of just leave that vague. But they're both two highly intelligent people. They're shown as not having much empathy, and they're just generally assholes. So I feel like that in the real world does not work, because most autistic people I know are very empathetic towards people. They're overly empathetic. They're hyper like empathetic. They feel things deeper than I would say most neurotypicals in terms of certain situations. So using that as a crutch, as a reason for your bad behavior, is basically a no-go, in my opinion. Like, you can't use that as your reasoning for why you're an asshole. Like, you can use it for the way you talk, the way you interact with people, fine, whatever. But overall, you're just making everyone look bad. And like I said, we live in a society, and we just have there's social rules that you can't do that.
Yeah. Um Using the like Sheldon Cooper of it all. I've heard this argued quite a bit. Just because I feel like he's probably the most mainstream autistically coded, figure
That's
that we've
not like
had
that's not like
long
blatantly.
standing.
Yeah, it's also not blatantly said that he's autistic, but it's obviously that he
Correct.
is, type of thing.
Right. It's it's understandable that some things, even things that I say and do sometimes, are perceived as assholish, even if I'm not trying to be. That is going to happen, right? It's going to happen occasionally. But when your whole, like you said, your whole pattern of behavior
And there's no
is
growth
just, and
whatsoever.
there's no growth, excuse me, and there's no growth and there's no acceptance, there's no, understanding. And you're one of those people who's like, well, I'm autistic. That's just who I am. Get over it. No, no, not okay. You
It's also
can't
like
say that.
implying that autistic people can't learn. Like
Right.
it's kind of like parents that just continuously let their like level 1 autistic child have tantrums in the middle of stores, either let them scream, don't do anything about it, whatever. Well, you can't get mad at him, he's autistic. Yes, I fucking can. I can, because you're not doing anything to parent this child. Like, you're just letting them scream bloody murder and not
Yeah.
doing anything about it. Like, you're not teaching them that that's not okay. Like, you're just like, well,
Right.
you're using it as a crutch. Like, well, he can't help it, he's autistic. Yes, he fucking can. You're just using it as an excuse for
Right.
why he's doing that.
I'm I guess where I get upset about this the most is less so in the Sheldon Cooper of it all and more so in this kind of egregious behavior that's being alleged in the Blake Lively Baldoni lawsuit,
Yeah.
right? And other people who have egregious behavior similar to this, like and they're public figures, okay? They're people know, right? If you're intelligent enough, excuse me, if you're intelligent enough, someone like a Baldoni, to create a production company, come up with a board
And run that
for
production
that production
company.
company, run the production company,
Direct the movie for
ne-
the production company.
direct the movie, negotiate deals,
Star in it.
star in it, have, relationships enough to where the fact that you run a company
And you're
with
married
friends
and all
and
that.
you're married and like you're able to essentially live your life as though no one would really know that you have ADHD or autism, right? Like he's claiming ADHD. But you can't blame your creep-tastic behavior and blatant sexual harassment on ADHD. I know many people with ADHD who can read the room or learn enough to know that you don't say and do certain things to people, period, let alone in public, let alone to coworkers. Like, sexual harassment is not a symptom of fucking ADHD.
Right.
In the case of, like, you brought up the whole Elon Musk of it all, right? Like, I don't know if he's ever actually come out and said he was autistic or not,
He
or if
did.
any.
I was looking it up in between our recordings. He came out with it like it was a few years ago. He was hosting Saturday Night Live, and he said he said he was diagnosed with Asperger's, which is not really called Asperger's anymore, but that's what he said he has. And he said I must be like, he's like, I'm probably the first like openly autistic person to host Saturday Night Live, which was not the truth because Dan Aykroyd is openly autistic, or was, I'm not sure if he's still alive. Dan Aykroyd is openly autistic, and he hosted Saturday Night Live in like 2003. That's what the article said. So
Gotcha.
like, it's fine that he didn't know that. I'm not like begrudging him the fact of like, oh, how dare you say
Right.
that you are. It's like, obviously, like, he's not gonna know every single fucking person that hosted Saturday Night Live, but
Right.
he did openly say he has Asperger's. The problem is
Okay.
he acts like such an asshole. I don't know if now he usually uses his autism as an excuse. Well, I act the way I am because I'm autistic, or I act the way I am because I have Asperger's. It's other people that are stands of his that, well, how can you can't really get onto him for being autistic. Like, you can't really get onto him for him being an asshole. He's autistic. Do you hate autistic people? Like, it's like, oh, he's a genius. He's a savant because he's autistic. It's that sort
Right.
of thing.
And he might be heavily socially awkward. He might not be great in friendships. He might not be great in relationships. All those things can be true, right? And he might have a difficult time relating with people. And so when he does speak, he does sound maybe like an asshole sometimes to someone who might not understand him. I'll give him that, right? I'll give lots of people that because I experienced that. So I understand that it's possible, right? There's things you say and do sometimes that I'm sure people perceive you as being like bitchy or an asshole or whatever because of the way that the tone of your voice or the way that you speak, or oops, I forgot to put my mask on and pretend, oh, I'm at work. I can't just be like, yeah, I know. Like I can't, I have to play to it, right? And I forgot to put the mask on and give the voice, customer service voice when talking to someone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So people know for a fact that I'm not upset or being a bitch or whatever. However, what I don't think he's allowed to blame his autism on, or people can't really defend him, use the autism in his defense for getting 10 different women pregnant on purpose so that he wouldn't have to fucking pay child support, and that he is such a megalomaniac that he thinks that the reason why the world needs so many of his offspring is because he is one of the most brilliant minds that ever walked the earth, and the world deserves to have more minds like his walk the earth. That's a statement of
and
his, right?
and he's severely anti-trans. Like, he dead names one of his children all the time,
Right.
and purposely misgenders them, and just everything. And it's just, you can't. It's like, it's almost like they're like I said, you can't blame him for being anti-trans, anti-whatever. He's autistic. It's like autistic people tend to be more liberal. I've
Right.
discovered, like, I feel like because we have such a sense of justice, it's it's almost like it doesn't make sense for, like, and I'm sure, yes, there's autistic people that are conservative. I'm not saying there's not, him being an example, obviously, but it's just, it's harder for, I feel like, an autistic person to be conservative because we have such a, like, sense of justice and sense of, like, wanting things to be fair and wanting, like, a social, like, sort of thing. It's harder to be conservative, and that's what that sort of mindset, right? Because they just want everything to stay the same. They don't want any pushback. They want, everything to be just the way it is. So saying that he is the way he is, just being a outright asshole in every aspect of life, like just no matter what he does, he's an asshole. But saying that it's because he's autistic, no, he's just he's the richest man in the world. He's a rich and powerful asshole. He's been rich his entire life. His family owned, like, what, an emerald mine. So it's not like he came from nothing. And so saying all this shit is like, the reason he is the way he is because his autism is very disingenuous. It's
Right.
not fair.
Right. And it essentially ends up painting a shitty picture of autistic people, because what do people do when they are trying to create context for something? They're going to look to the most outwardly facing example of that thing, the most readily available example of that thing, the Sheldon Cooper of it all, the Elon Musk, that kind of shit. They're going to look to
Kanye
these
West being
people.
bipolar, that sort of thing.
Right. They're going to look to these people to establish their understanding of that group of people or of that diagnosis or whatever. They're not going to go digging through medical journals
It's like a
or
paragon. It's a paragon. Like, this is an example. Like, this is the prime example of this person. That means all people are like this. It's kind of like the
right.
show The Good Doctor, where I've only seen like a few episodes, but in the show, he's like an openly, like, the character is openly autistic, and it's just very awkward to watch. Like, I'm sure there are autistic people that act like he does, but I'm just like, oh, you're trying so hard, buddy. Like, you're good job. A for effort.
Right. And like the whole, like you mentioned, the whole Kanye West of it all with the bipolar thing. Do I believe him that he's bipolar? Yeah, I do. Do I think that it's a reason for a lot of the things that he has maybe experienced in his life or the ways that he might have behaved in the past? Could it be a reason for that? Maybe. But does it excuse his bad behavior? Does it excuse the abuse and the fucking crazy shit that he has done?
Like like
No, it does not.
here's like, I found this post. It's from a Reddit thread called from r/autism and women. And so the original thing says, like, excusing alarming behavior with having autism. It said, and I'm just tying in the Elon and Kanye thing. So the original post said, someone at my university course tried to excuse and this is from 2 years ago, tried to excuse the alarming stuff Elon Musk has said with him having Asperger's. Examples of the stuff he has said: context, plan to populate Mars after Earth is not livable anymore, or saying that women should start making more children. Both these are very dangerous statements from one of the most influential men on this planet with a very easily influenced fan base. Also, if you don't understand why these are dangerous statements, you can ask. I'm not sure if Elon has said the excuse himself, but the fact that a fairly educated outsider would use it about him is telling. And then someone replied, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Oh, here. People are doing the same with Kanye West, excusing his anti Semitic comments because he's bipolar. Here's the thing: their disabilities may make them more likely to say what's on their mind, but autism and bipolarism do not make people believe these things. This is a weak excuse to try and explain the inexcusable. But autism did not make Elon Musk a horrid misogynist. Bipolar did not make Kanye West an anti Semite. They are responsible for their backwards beliefs, not their disabilities. It's kind of like
Correct.
how Roseanne, when she got canceled for being, basically, I forgot who she was racist towards someone. I can't remember who, some political figure, I think. Maxine Waters, maybe? Anyway, some political figure she was saying racist things about on Twitter. And then she blamed it on her Ambien. It's like,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. I'm pretty sure drug companies have to list every possible side effect. Racism was not one of them, Roseanne.
No.
You just it's kind of like how like a drunk person's the most honest person you'll like talk to. It's like no, the Ambien just made you drop. If it was you talking after after you took Ambien, it just made you drop your guys. You know,
Yeah, absolutely. It may lower your, like they said, it might explain why they're more
susceptible
comfortable
like into
like
saying these
speaking their
things.
minds. Yeah, but it doesn't form their fucking beliefs.
Think of like J.K. Rowling. If J.K. Rowling came out, I'm not sure if she's ever come out like autistic, ADHD, whatever. But if say like let's say tomorrow she decides like, oh yeah, I've diagnosed with ADHD, and that's why I say all these anti-trans things. Like say she had like a complete change of heart, like she decided she didn't want to post 90% of her shit being anti-trans stuff. But then she turns around and said, "Oh, I posted all this stuff because I have ADHD." ADHD does not make you anti-trans, J.K. Rowling. It's
Right.
like it might make you more like basically more liberal, like say it freely, like no inhibition to say it, but it does not make you like ADHD did not make you say it. Like did not give you
Right.
that belief system. You have that belief system. You just are using, if she were diagnosed, you're just using your diagnosis as an excuse for why you are that way. That's not what that means.
Right. And I think where it gets really like possibly and potentially dangerous is like I wanted to sort of touch on the whole like Gypsy Rose Blanchard, Nicholas Godejohn thing.
Yeah.
Okay. That is a scary thing to highlight. It's a scary thing that the autism was focused on so heavily in his defense. I
Mm-hmm.
understand as a defense attorney why they did that, right?
Yeah,
Like I
they
get
have to
it,
use
it's to garner sympathy.
every avenue they can.
Right, it's their job as a defense attorney. I understand that. And I do have several opinions on this matter. Um I do believe that he might have been more easily uh, drawn
Susceptible.
in
Mm-hmm.
by Gypsy and more he had a more intense passion about him because he loved her so much that he was so attached to her. And like a lot of times, it's difficult for someone to have balanced relationships when they're autistic, and a lot of times they do autistic people in a relationship do get taken advantage of for that reason because they tend to cling to and maybe obsess over their partners at times. Not everyone, but like there's a tendency, there's a possibility, and there is a pattern, an established pattern. And there's a statistic, we read it on the show, I think at one point before, that it's statistically more likely that an autistic person will be abused or manipulated in their relationship
Then be the abuser.
um than, yeah, exactly, than to be the abuser. And so it's I do think that he was probably more inclined to
Go along.
comply with her request because of his diagnosis and because he was so in love with her. However, he also admitted to having multiple personalities. Was he ever diagnosed with multiple personality disorder? I am unsure.
Yeah, I
But
think they like
he
they
his own words.
yeah, dissociative identity disorder where they're like we're unsure if he has it. It's hard to get a diagnosis for that.
Yeah.
But basically not to like cut you off, but yeah, basically they're kind of like they kind of made him portrayed him as like this child, which like I said, we
Yes.
completely understand. This is basically almost like basically one step below the insanity plea on
Right.
behalf of his lawyer, which they had to do what they had to do. And we're not saying he's not autistic. He was diagnosed autistic, everything. We're not gatekeeping that. It's more the fact of you're excusing his violent behavior, the murder of Gypsy's mom, with the fact that he's autistic. Like, he didn't know better because he's autistic. Like, he may have been more easily coerced into doing it because of his autism, but that also could be combined with a lot of things. Because, like, basically, like, I would never dream of doing something like that. Like, 99% of people would never dream of doing something like that with or without autism. It's more of lack. Like I said, it's not just autism, it's combined with something else, right? Like, it's, yes, like, he was easily coerced into doing it, but he also, like I said, 99% of people would have just told her, fuck no. Like, I'm not gonna fucking do that. If you want your mom dead, you do it. That sort of thing.
Right.
Like, but so was he more easily coerced into doing it? Yes. He's still at fault. He still murdered somebody. So trying to get him off, like, does he just I don't think he should be as punished. Like, it's hard to, like, it's kind of like the whole like Swoop thing. Like, I very agree with Swoop about this. It's he did kill somebody, but I feel like the fact that Gypsy got out so early compared to him, where he's going to be in prison for life with no parole. Yes, he murdered someone. Yes, he deserves that. I feel like Gypsy should get more of the blame as well, because she didn't do the actual act, but she did coerce him into doing it.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
It was spearheaded by her. And had he
I took advantage
I
of him.
I do believe that had he never met Gypsy, he probably would have never hurt anyone.
Yeah.
I just get that impression from hearing him speak, from the things I've
Because,
watched.
like, I
I
feel like he's
feel
never
like
he never said, like, he really had, like, because he talked about how he's, like, a 500-year-old vampire. This is Gypsy claiming it. That,
right.
like, he claimed he's a 500-year-old vampire named Victor or whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't think he had violent tendencies. From what I remember in other interviews, I don't think he had a violent and if I'm wrong, sorry, I don't remember every single detail about their interviews and stuff. But I don't think he had violent tendencies before he met her.
Yeah, actually retract that statement. So I was just remembering something that I heard in this thing I just watched about him a little while ago. He himself, out of his own words, said that he had several personalities, and that there's one personality that it's it happened when he was about 18. He said something just clicked in him, and that this it's like I could feel something else was there. Like, I'm here and I see you and I am you. And he said that's his,
Like, almost like an
like,
out of body experience type of thing.
violent, yeah, that's
Side.
his, like, angry, mean side. And then he said later on that he has other personalities too, but, like, he said when that person's there, I'm all the way gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm gone. This person, the sweet, nice person that I normally wake up to all the time, is not here anymore. That was his own words. And this person's in charge of things. So maybe he did have violent tendencies, or at least a personality, his words, not mine, that was more angry and much unlike his normal disposition. However, I don't know. It's never been said he's ever acted on anything outside of this murder. And he's never said that he wanted to or did or whatever act on anything outside of the
It's
situation with
it's not like
Gypsy.
he like how a lot of serial killers start off like hurting animals. It's not like he was known for like
Right.
hurting animals or hurting children or just hurting anything, but leading up
Right.
to this. Like, could he have and no one found out? Sure.
Maybe.
And we're also not saying that DID, because I know a lot of like the whole movie Split did not help situations, like did
No.
not help with the whole optics, like what people think of when they think of DID or multiple personality disorder, as it used to be called. Because I've watched a lot of videos about DID. So we're also not saying that you're automatically a bad person. You automatically have a violent streak. You automatically have what like in Split, they have a beast inside of them. So we're also 100% not saying that. It's just we're saying
Right.
him as a one singular person, a possible example of
Right.
DID. Like that he
These are
himself has
his
said,
words
yeah, that he himself has
that he's
said,
using to describe himself.
I
Yeah.
have someone inside of me. Like I feel like there's some part of me that is violent. And
Yeah.
I don't exist when that part is out.
Right. So not only is he setting up, is he being platformed as this, and it's not just him that's happened over the years, from what I understand. This DID gets painted in this awful light a lot. It didn't need any more bad press. But apparently, they made this such a factor of his case, and the autism side of it was such a factor in his defense, that it painted a picture of someone with these two conditions as someone capable of doing what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And just because someone is diagnosed with autism or DID does not mean they are capable of fucking violent murder. This was not walk in, shooter, and leave, right?
Yeah.
This was a crime of passion. This is considered a crime of passion. Stabbing anyone is considered a crime of passion. He stabbed her so many times. So many times. Like, it's not an easy thing to do unless you are fully ready and capable and willing to do that thing on such a deep level. And I don't think that had shit to do with him being autistic or having DID. Again, do I think he was more susceptible to being convinced or swayed to act on this because of it? Yes. But he also had the same amount of statistical reasoning to not do it.
And
So,
yeah,
like,
and the wherewithal. And the wherewithal to like to
yeah.
not do it. So
And because they even tried, because from what I understand, they talked about murder first. And then they were like, well, they both had a change of heart and was like, this is a big deal. We really can't murder someone. It's wrong. It's not okay. And then tried to do it a different way.
and
Then
also
that failed. Then they decided to do the murder after that.
and also when they were interviewing him when they first caught them, because they caught them pretty quickly.
Yeah,
But
they
they
did.
caught him, he was very like he was telling the truth from like
From jump.
from jump, where she was lying at every single turn. Where
Mm-hmm.
he was like, yeah, she told, like, she asked me to, yeah, I did it, yeah, I did. Like, he was like, that was where the tism came out. Like, he was just
Right.
outwardly like, yeah, like, he wasn't like boasting about it. He was just like black and white. Here are the facts. Like, here is everything that I like from my side. Like, straight. Like, here you go. It's all on the table. And
Exactly. And he even said in that interview, I never would have done it if she didn't ask me to.
yeah, so it's like she was such a bad influence. And I understand she's a victim too. Did her mom deserve to be murdered? No. Her mom deserved to go to jail for what she did to Gypsy. But basically, if Gypsy would have, because she was already gone, like she's already away from her mom. If you just ran away, like if you just ran away, your mom would still be alive. You would have gone to
Right.
jail. He wouldn't still be in jail and for the rest of his life. If you
Right.
She was also, and I understand she was infantilized like her entire life and she was abused her entire life. Like I cannot imagine the shit she went through. But it does not like the whole like it's such a difficult thing to discuss because it's like she is to blame, but she's a victim who perpetrated a crime. Like she committed a crime. Both of them committed a
Right.
crime, and Gypsy was a victim. It wasn't inherently self defense. It's not like they stabbed her mom while her mom was beating the ever living shit out of her at the time.
Right.
They just went into the house and killed her. Like they were already out of the house. They were already out. Like they could have just left.
Well, they weren't out of the house because Gypsy had to let him in.
Oh, I thought
Gypsy
she
was
was out of the
home.
house. Okay, gotcha.
No, she ran away once before and someone saw her running away and called her mom, and her
Mm,
mom tracked her down and ripped her out of the house from some guy she was trying to
yeah, that's
date
true.
that she
That's
met at
right.
a Comic-Con or something before. This whole plot was set up to where she sent him money, he took a bus all the way to Springfield, Missouri from wherever he lived, which I don't remember where it was, but it was really far away from her.
It was like Louisiana or something.
Something, no, it wasn't Louisiana. That's where her dad lives. Um but I can't remember exactly what state he was in. But it was far. It was far. So it was a lot
And
of
like
bus riding.
and supplied with the knife.
Yeah. And bought the knife, which was already at the house, right?
This was premeditated.
Premeditated to the nth degree. And orchestrated by her. Every detail was orchestrated by her. So, like, yes, he went along with it. So he's guilty for what he did. I'm not saying he should. Again, this whole thing is like he needs to be held accountable for what he did because what he did was wrong and he fucking knew it was wrong. He
Mm-hmm.
knew it was wrong. If you have enough wherewithal to know that you that murder is wrong and you still choose to do it for whatever reason, you deserve to be held accountable. Apart from self-defense, you agree you are basically signing on for jail time because you will be caught. Most of the time, you're going to get caught. And this whole shit with like Gypsy trying to, and I understand Gypsy's a victim. I get it. I, again, like you said, cannot fucking imagine the shit she went through. But again, if she had enough sound mind to get him a bus ticket all the way the fuck out here, knowing that her mother was sound the fuck asleep because she took medication to knock herself out. That's how they were able to have a relationship for a year and a half or more, because all of their interactions took place online at night while her mother was sleeping. And her mom slept so hard that it was easy enough for her to let someone in the fucking house without her mother knowing. She could have just as easily had a bag packed when he got there, left with him, got on a bus, and got the fuck out of town without ever killing her. They could have called the police. They could have gone straight to the cops. They could have done whatever they wanted, and Gypsy could have spilled all the fucking beans and be like, this is what's been happening to me. I have proof. Just go to my house. You'll see all the things. This is all the medication she's been asking me to take. I found this information saying that she's lied to me about my age. Like, she was a fucking adult.
Mm-hmm.
They can't force her to go back to her mother's house, and she knew she was 19 at this point. She knew she was 19 when she ran away the first time. That's why she ran away. So they're not going to force her to go back to her house. She's not a child.
Right.
She's a fucking adult.
And also, it's also like, okay, say this all happened. She went to jail. She did her time. Based on whatever the jury, the courts decided. That's all fine and good. Except now when she got out, everyone's like, oh, look at this boss babe. Look at this girl, this girl boss. Look at her, like, giving her, like, reality TV show, giving her deals, giving her all this, where she married someone, like, while she's in jail. She did with him, immediately left him. Now is with some new guy, pregnant by this new guy. Whatever. Now she's shit-talking her ex-husband, or soon-to-be ex-husband, and is already married or with another guy, having a baby with another guy. They're due early next year, I think. Okay. Basically glorifying this person. Like, she's a victim that rose up and, like, fought back against her abuser. Like I said, it's not like her mom was beating the ever-living shit out of her at this current point in time. Like you said, she was asleep. Like, I understand her mom abused her for years. I understand that. But there's still like laws about this. Like, it's not self-defense if the fucking person's asleep. Like,
right.
They're not, like, you're not defending yourself while they're asleep. You could have left, and I understand she tried to leave before, and her mom got her back. But, like you said, she was an adult. So I don't really appreciate the fact that, like, she got out of a bad situation in the worst way possible. But right. I understand she felt like she had no choice. I understand, like, to her, she felt like she had no choice because, yes, she was an adult, but she was still a teenager. She was still 19, had a childlike mind because of how she was raised. But it's also the fact of the whole glorification of her now. I think now there's more and more flack going against her, like more and more
Yeah.
stuff's coming out, like maybe her mom didn't do all this stuff, like that she's claiming that she did, all this stuff. I can't really speak on that. I don't know much about that, but it's the whole fact of now she's coming out saying like, I don't identify as a murderer. I didn't commit the actual murder. He did. Like all
Yeah.
this nonsense. Like you were still the mastermind behind it. He was a pawn on your little chessboard.
Mm-hmm.
So don't come with
And
me
if it
that
wasn't
bullshit.
him, it'd have been anybody else who
Right.
she could convince to do it.
Right.
Like
Exactly.
I really do think maybe on like you said, honest to God, maybe she did feel like she really had no other way out because when she ran away, allegedly when she ran away the first time and her mom got her back, her mom did beat the ever loving shit out of her and then chained her to a bed for like 2 weeks or
Mm-hmm.
some shit and was horribly abused. She horribly abused her. If that fucking happened to her, I can totally understand why she was terrified to try to run away again. She was worried she was going to get caught and the same thing was going to happen to her again. And I understand she was incredibly brainwashed by her mother and probably very torn at the same time of like, how do I survive without her? She's literally not taught me how to do anything. Like, I can understand being
Like
scared
I have
to
no
just
survival skills, basically.
dip out, right? But that's why you dip out to the police. Like, dip out to the police
It's
station
also
and
it's also like
explain yourself.
it's also like I don't know how much she knew about her mom because like now it's like found out that her mom like what starved her what was it stepmom and like killed her mom like her family like
Poisoned her.
yeah poisoned her and then like there was another she like starved her stepmom I think poisoned her mom and then her dad did stuff to her and then like
Yeah,
stuff
and
with
to
the
Gypsy
grandma
allegedly.
and the grandma like stuff and even like her mom did stuff to her mom. It's like, oh, now Gypsy's having a daughter. I'm like, you better hope your
Yeah,
daughter does not follow this family tradition of daughters like screwing over their mothers, like killing their
yeah.
mothers. Like it's fucked up.
I there's a lot of like the whole Gypsy Rose of it all and her bullshit she's doing, but like kind of back to the Nicholas thing, like he was painted as this person who had no control over the
He
situation.
was
He was
basically a
being
child.
manipulated.
Yeah, he was
He
basically a
was he
child
was a child and he was never going to have more
of a chance and stuff.
of a chance at life past, he was essentially mentally and emotionally stunted at age like 15 or 16 is what his doctors told his mother apparently. um and so they never really pushed him to do much, but according to him, he did very well in school, but he was in special education from the time he was kindergarten, first grade, like his entire career. He did say he was in high school or schooling career. He was definitely in special education, and he was into computers. He wanted to go into computer um, repair, but when he went to college, he it was taking a really long time for him to grasp the information they were teaching, and so he dropped out or whatever, or they forced him out of the program or whatever, and
Yeah,
he
he was
never
arrested
pursued anything
for
after that.
yeah, he was arrested at some point. I was just looking up his thing. And like I said, we're not painting him as this little innocent child that or whatever cuz he was in trouble before. It said like so he came from Wisconsin.
Okay.
He describes his life as lonely before he began talking to Gypsy. He was arrested on April 18, 2013 for masturbating to pornography at a McDonald's for 9 hours. Jesus Christ, my
Oh,
guy. He was previously charged on March 11th, 2013 for carrying a concealed weapon and disorderly conduct, which carries a combined maximum sentence of 1 year in prison, $11,000 in fine, or both. Um, and so, like I said, we're not painting as like, oh, he never did anything wrong. He was so perfect. Like she just turned him. It's like, no, like I said, he's more susceptible to doing things, but you can't blame that all on
right. Because, like,
autism.
to be able to do something like that, that already has to be within you, right?
Right.
Like, there has to be something wired in there about who you are for you to be able to bring yourself to murder someone, okay?
It's kind of like
Especially in
people
the way that he did it.
it's kind of like the media every time like some like mass shooting happens, they blame like video games. It's like
Right.
I've played plenty of a violent video game. I have never felt the need, and the majority of people that do have and I say vast majority of people who have played violent video games have never felt the need to go out and stab somebody or commit crimes. Like, I've played GTA. I've never wanted to go up and hit a stripper with my car. Okay?
Right.
I've never wanted to go grab a gun and shoot people. Like, I've never wanted to do this sort of shit because of video games. And like my cousin Mark plays video games hours a day. He does not have one violent bone in his body. He's also autistic.
No.
He has not one violent bone in his body.
Right.
So, and that's to anyone that I know. Basically all my friends, like probably majority of my friends, at least male friends that have played violent video games, could not imagine doing this sort of shit.
No. And for you to for there to be such a glaring example of autism that's been pushed into the media and that was used a lot in headlines when talking about him, and it to be someone who violently murdered another person and, like you said, obviously has a little bit of a criminal history there. um there might be reasoning why he was more susceptible to do things like he's done, but it doesn't mean that just because that anyone diagnosed with DID or autism has the capability to do what he did. And I feel like it was sort of pushed into the media that, like, this is the picture of someone
Here's the
with
excuse.
autism. This is the picture of someone who has DID. And then his defense jumped on that and used it as an excuse as to why he should not be sentenced to
Or
life
held
in prison
accountable. Yeah.
and held accountable for his actions. He never once denied what he did or why he did it. He even doubled down in this last interview saying he might have done it differently, but he would do it again.
Yeah, for her.
For her, he'd do it again. And he doesn't regret doing it. And that should tell you everything about the manipulation that was involved. But, like, because now to hear her talk about it, it was so flippant. Like, their relationship wasn't as serious as he's painting it out to
She
be.
basically used him, is like how she comes across.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, granted, they were court ordered never to speak to each other again after
Because they did
the
date for a
proceedings were
while.
done.
They did date for a little bit while they were both in prison. They did date for a while, but then obviously, then she broke it off or whatever. Like, I feel like he's still in love with her, but I also don't
Oh,
know,
for
like, how,
sure.
because I don't know how much he hears. I'm sure he hears about her from like the news and stuff, because they're allowed news and stuff in prison. But it's also like, dude, she's already. I don't know if she's married to the new guy or just engaged, but like, she's already been married or engaged twice since
Mm-hmm.
prison, and so I don't. It's this is gonna be weird to say. I feel bad for him. Like I said, I feel bad because like you said, if he never met her, he could have lived the rest of his life. Like, I guess he did stuff wrong before he met her, but he could like done the rest of his life without committing a violent crime. Like,
Yeah.
so like he is a lot to blame. They are both a lot to blame. She convinced him, and he was just easily susceptible. It's like I said, going back to the whole Justin Baldoni thing. Like, the difference is Nicholas did not use his autism as an excuse for what he did. That's like what his lawyer said. That's like,
Right.
he's like, oh, I did it because I'm autistic. Whereas like Justin Baldoni with the Blake Lively stuff is now all this shit came to light. Now, oh, by the way, it's all because I have ADHD. It's like
Yeah,
that's two
let's
different
use that
things.
in my PR cleanup
Yeah.
because if I don't, it's going to make her look like she's picking on me and I'm just this poor ADHD person who doesn't understand social cues and didn't understand I was being inappropriate. Even though there's documented evidence to show, allegedly, that he was told several times to stop,
By
told
several
several
people.
times that it was inappropriate by several people, and then still chose to keep going. I just I don't appreciate when someone takes their bad behavior and pins it on their diagnosis of whatever that might be. You can be bipolar and be a good person. You can be
The majority of people with bipolarism
80,
are good people. Like,
yeah, you can have a DID and be a non-violent good person. You can have autism and be a non-violent good person. I'd venture to guess most of us fucking are. Same thing with all those other diagnoses. Most people,
in general, are good
in
people.
general,
Or at least
are
neutral.
good people, or at
Like,
least neutral people, not going to commit violent crimes, okay? Or abuse people, or use, but then there's these fucking idiots like Baldoni specifically who then take that and bastardize it and make it seem like this is what we look like. This is what we're capable of. And it's disgusting to me. And it needs to stop. Do not use your fucking mental illness, your fucking uh diagnosis of neurodivergence as a fucking scapegoat. Just stop doing it. Just stop. Not I mean, in general, most people understand that not everyone, people aren't a monolith, right? Like, autistics aren't a monolith, ADHDers aren't a monolith. But when there's such glaring negative publicity around something, this is a picture that can't help but be painted for the public as to what people with these disabilities and conditions are capable of. And that is scary. Because we don't need any help with fucking bad press, okay? We just don't. It's just not something we need assistance with. We
it's
need
not
assistance with
conducive.
understanding.
It's not conducive to
No,
anything.
it's not. And we need, if anything, we need more understanding and more, good press so that people will stop thinking that this is who we are, just sociopathic, fucking psychopathic, murdering, crazy people who don't care about anybody but ourselves and will be willing to
And
do
have no
literally
empathy.
anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and have no empathy.
Like, we're all
Like,
sociopaths.
it's exactly, and it's fucking bullshit. Some of us are,
Yeah.
but I would venture to say a solid 98% of us are not. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm being conservative with that 98%. So maybe we just don't. Maybe we just stop that. That's where I'm at. I don't know if I have much more to say about it, but that's where I'm at. Where are you at?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Because like I said, I talked about like another like fictional character like Sherlock, like the Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock. Like, he is very artistically coded. Like, he himself says he calls himself a sociopath. Like, people call him like as a joke, like, you're a psychopath. He was actually, I'm a highly functioning sociopath. Do your research, or whatever
Yeah.
he says. And so, but he's very artistically coded. But he's still in the show, still has empathy. He cares for and will do anything for John Watson. So much so,
Right.
there's so much fan fiction about them. So, like, shipping them, But it's like, even that, like, even like sometimes like the whole like even like positive like you said, we're not a monolith. Even like a lot of autistic people, I feel like in media we're either seen as like savants, like we're extremely intelligent but with very little social, like, can't take social cues, like we're very socially awkward but we're highly intelligent. Or it's like I can't remember what the movie was, but it got a lot of backlash. It was like directed by Sia, had Maddie Ziegler, and she was
Oh,
supposed to play like an
yes.
autistic girl or
A
something.
nonverbal
Yeah.
autistic girl,
And so
yeah.
we're either highly intelligent but socially awkward, or we're just like blabbering like people, like nonverbal children. And
Right.
like, can you not have a happy medium? Like, I can't remember. I wish I remember what show I was watching, where it felt like they didn't outwardly say this character was autistic, but I was thinking, it was like a show on Netflix. It was like about a girl, she was solving a murder or something. But I'm like, the whole time I'm like, this girl is so autistically coded, but in a positive way, because she was like so like doing her research. She wouldn't let go. She's like, no, I gotta solve this murder. Like, I'm like, it was a British show. Um, she was using it as, I don't know what they call it in England, but it was like basically kind of like her thesis statement for like her senior year or whatever, in high school. Before, like, they had to work on it during like some sort of holiday break. And so she was like solving this murder, and this whole time I'm like, this girl is so autistically coded. I'm like, I love her. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, can we have more of this where she's not blatantly, like, they don't blatantly say she's autistic, but I'm like, no, this girl's autistic the whole time. I'm like, damn, they did so good writing this girl.
Yeah. I feel like the autistic representation in the media could be an entire episode. I just dropped that pen. Could be an entire episode in itself, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we sort of touched on it with this, but just stop is going to be what I'm going to say to you. Knock it
Yeah.
off. Don't, and please do your research, as fucking Sherlock would say. Do not assume that just because someone is diagnosed with whatever insert thing here that they're capable of crimes, and that the depictions of us in the media are what you get in real
Right.
life.
And that applies to really anything.
Yeah.
Like autism, like thinking all Muslims are terrorists, thinking all if you're
Right.
Hispanic in this country you must be illegal, or if
People are
like
not a monolith.
yeah, it's just people are in general not a monolith. You can't ascribe entire entire like traits to a large group of people because of one person you know.
Right. All
I
right.
think that's all we
Well,
got. We might see you
that's
guys on
all
the
we
other
got.
side.
Yeah. Let's hit it. That's all we got. Well, we might hit it if I could get my mouse to cooperate with me. All right, here we go.
Do-do-do-do.
All right, we made it.
I got friends on the other side.
It's currently 9:16 in the PM, and I'm feeling that.
And we started recording at like 6, so
Yeah.
took like a 20
It's
minute
been a
break between, but we did, so it's been a while.
I had to use the potty. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying we took a 20-minute break in between.
I know. We try to do these as back to back as humanly possible, but sometimes my stomach has other fucking uh, ideas. But anyway, I feel like we've sort of talked about that card, so I'm just going to toss it to the side and see what this one has to say. Okay, here we go. If you are in a bad mood, would you rather be left alone or have someone try to cheer you up?
Left alone.
Same. Simple as that.
Like
Don't talk to me.
it's basically it's same with like if I'm in pain, like if I'm in pain, like when I had my kidney stone, I was in the ER and my mom was like rubbing my back because I had this kidney stone like 10 plus years ago. But when I was like my mom was rubbing my back, I just had to be like, don't, like, I don't like people touching me when I'm in pain. Because it's overstimulating basically. And
Yeah.
if I'm in a bad mood, like I'm going to say something to you that I'm going to regret. So you better just leave me alone. Like I'm gonna hurt your
Right.
feelings if I'm in a bad mood. So
Yeah.
and that'll just make me feel even worse.
Same. I feel like the pain thing is also a thing for me when it's like when I'm in pain and it's all over my face because I can't hide it. And then my husband's like, "Are you okay?" And I just want to scream, "Do I fucking look okay?" Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like, and or he'll try to like, I don't know. He jokes around and like tries to be, lovey and
He's
stuff, and
trying to
he'll like,
alleviate the situation with humor.
right, and or like I'm in pain a lot. Let's be real. That's what my body does. It's its default fucking state of being. But like when I'm hurting or I've had a long day or whatever, and he'll go to like slap my butt, like gentle. He's always very gentle anyway. But like even the gentlest of touches sometimes feels so painful when all my nerves are already firing and I'm just in full body pain. But like everything hurts so much worse. Even the slightest touch feels like pain. So I'm like, just don't touch me
Mm-hmm.
when I don't feel good. Because like right now my back is screaming. I've had a rough body day. It's been a rough day. But I got an allergy shot today. So I'm not surprised that my body is screaming.
How's that? How's just a brief little side thing? How's that going? Do you feel like you're doing better with allergies, or I don't know how it
I
works.
mean, this is the build up phase right now. So like we're not really going to see a lot of improvement until probably several more weeks from now, probably a good maybe several months from now, honestly. It takes a really long time, and my attempt to not have it take as long failed miserably because my immune system can't handle it. So there's an option to what's called cluster, where you get through your build up phase as quickly as possible. And for most people with decent immune systems, it's fine. But for people with really shitty immune systems, it's damn near impossible. And I tried my hardest to cluster, and I got all the way. I think there's like, I don't know how many stages. There's like a silver, a green, a yellow, a blue, an orange, and a red is your maintenance phase. So I think there's 5 build-up phases, and then you start your maintenance dose. Um, and I got to green, which is I think the third one. I just did green today. I started green today. So I've done blue and silver. So it's blue, silver, green is how it starts. So I clustered blue. Did I say silver, blue, green?
I don't
I
remember.
don't know what the fuck I said.
Say
Whatever. The
the number
first the
phase.
first one I clustered, which is getting through all of those vials in one appointment.
Mm-hmm.
Second round I clustered getting all through of those vials in one appointment. And I have 4 vials I have to get total. So that's I got through 8 vials of my serum as quickly as I could.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, I did 3. I'm sorry. I clustered 3. Green is the 4th one. So I got through 3 clusters, fucked me up real bad. Couldn't handle it. So now I'm not clustering anymore. So now I'll just get 1 dose from each vial every appointment I go. And I can go up to 3 times a week. I will probably not do that. I will probably go maybe twice a week, if I can handle it. But the farther you go, the higher the dose gets, because that's how that works. They start you really low and then you just build up. And that's when shit starts getting crazy. So, anyway, all of that to say, my immune system sucks. So now I have to slow down because it was literally taking me out.
And also just to go with the whole if I don't feel well, leave me alone. I just saw this meme. It said when everyone at work is getting on your nerves, but you're still trying to stay in the Christmas spirit, and it says, "Please jingle all the way away from me."
Yes. Jingle all the way the fuck away from me. I agree with that.
Jingle over there. Thank you.
Jingle away.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Are you ready for words?
Yes, I need from you. Hold on one second. I need a first name female.
La Fonda.
La Found. Found Quisha. La Found.
From Napoleon Dynamite.
I haven't seen that movie in so long. Probably since
Oh my God,
since I first saw it in high school. Remember Rob was obsessed with that movie. He quoted that movie
Yes.
all the time.
All the time.
Same first name female. La Found.
Mm-hmm.
Noun.
Charlie Brown Christmas tree.
I have one of those at my desk at work. Everyone's like, "Is this a real tree?" And I'm like disappointed. Them. I'm like, "No, it's the Charlie Brown Christmas tree." Like, yes, this twig with the ornament on it is a real tree. Charlie Brown Christmas tree. Part of the body.
Dick.
Dick. Oh no. Oh no. Adjective.
Incorrigible. Thanks for the save on that one.
Incorrigible. Oh, you're incorrigible. First name male.
Fucking Jeremy.
Fucking Jeremy. Man, I miss Jeremy.
I do too. I've been thinking about resurrecting him.
Yeah, we kind of like ended on a cliffhanger, literally, and then we kind of just were like, okay, fuck that, bye.
Yeah, that's how we roll. We might resurrect him. I've been listening to old episodes, and it's kind of nice listening to the Jeremy stories. I'm not gonna
lie. Type of food.
Hors d'oeuvres.
Hors d'oeuvres. I'm gonna spell it however the fuck I want. Okay. Adjective.
Festive.
Festivus for the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
I even wrote Festivus by accident. Festive. There we go. Noun.
Very long. You ready?
Sure.
10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag.
Shit. That's how I feel when I put on certain jeans.
Same.
Same first name, female, LaFonda. Occupation?
Sticking with Napoleon Dynamite, traveling Tupperware salesman.
Man, you had a lot of fun ones, unusual ones,
Yeah.
Traveling Tupperware salesman. Oh man, my handwriting's terrible. Article of clothing, plural.
Pantaloons.
Pantalones.
Pissed in my pantaloons.
Okay, this one's called Old World Wisdom. Still in our Golden Girls. Listen, let me tell you a story about my sister Angela's best friend, LaFonda Delaterlisi. Oh my god. Delaterlisi. Jesus Christ. Okay, anyway. See, LaFonda never thought she would find true Charlie Brown Christmas tree and happiness in the foothills of Sicily. Every morning, she would tell me and Angela about how big her dick was. That's why I went, oh no. Every morning, she would tell me and Angela about how big her dick was and that she was certain no man could ever fill it. Oh no.
I love it.
Like a what? Like a catheter? Like what are we talking about here? Okay.
Oh shit. I should have put vagina.
Yeah. But when she was 17, she met an incorrigible young man named fucking Jeremy DiRobertis Milano of the famous DiRobertis Milano family. I apologize to all Italian people that I'm mispronouncing all these. They made some of the best hors d'oeuvres in all of Sicily. And even though they fell in love, his father said that unless she could learn how to make the festive family recipe of Cipolli, his son could not marry her. Well, she worked for months to learn it. The secret was that the dough had to fry in the 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag for just 3 minutes. But sadly, she was never able to make the recipe correctly. As it turns out, she never married. The last time I spoke to Angela, LaFonda had run off with a traveling Tupperware salesman, and she had even taken to wearing men's pantaloons.
I love it.
That was good.
That was good. We're nearing the end of this book, man.
Yeah, we just have a few left, I think.
We need to probably start thinking about if we're gonna do another one.
Yeah, it's if we do, we have to purchase it soon.
Yeah, got to get on that Amazon, find us a new one. If we do, my thought was we need to get one that's like very clearly meant for kids.
Yeah. Just to make it
and then make it
inappropriate as possible.
Incredibly inappropriate. Yeah,
like the Pokemon one. Like the Pokemon one.
Yes, yes. It needs to be obviously kid coded, so that we can fuck it up real good.
Mm-hmm. And basically make us look like terrible people.
That's right. That's. I mean, have they not figured out this is who we are by now?
Yeah, I mean, we are our neurodivergent, so we are inherently terrible.
Right. Exactly. Obviously, we just spent an hour explaining that to you, right?
Yeah.
Oh Lord. All right, I'm done. It's 9:30 essentially, and
hit me with the Julie.
I am still hungry, so here goes Julie.
Julie, do the thing.
I'm afraid there are no more things to do.
And
woo!
Woo! All right. So let's get the fuck out of here. Thanks for tuning in for some more bitching and moaning. We don't know what we're going to talk about next week because we haven't gotten that far.
To be fair, we thought about what we're going to talk about today about a few hours before we start recording. So,
yeah. So I have no hints for you. I'm sure there will be more bitching and moaning, but maybe not so heavy a topic.
Yeah.
Next time, maybe we'll lighten it up a little bit. Let's get through Christmas first.
Basically, maybe we'll do another one of those like thought experiment things, like the whole making up our own sports thing. Like,
oh, that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun. I think Ray and Micah enjoyed that one, if I remember.
Mm-hmm. I hope so.
Yeah. We need to get them back on the show in the new year. I feel like we have some planning to do. I want to also try to reach out to a couple more guests and see if we could get a couple more guest appearances on the show. Maybe we can convince Scott to come on the show.
Yeah.
And chat with him. See if we can convince him, and if he wants Zach to come too, Zach can come too. But
Zach
I'm
is
totally fine with
diagnosed
that.
ADHD, so and so is Granger.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, then let's put them both on, or maybe we can have all three of them at some point, or split them up, or who knows.
We can even ask if you're willing to, because I know, like, if Scott ever want to be like, what it's like to be married to someone with like ADHD, like how do you deal with it, that sort of thing.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll make some
inquiries.
Some
Queries.
queries of some folks.
Some queries
you
of
get
some
to meet
quiz.
some more of our
Let's go.
people. Bring Scott into the fold. We talk about him enough, so get him on the show. Force him. Make him real uncomfortable. Be like, you're doing it.
We're doing it. We promise not to use your last name. So
yeah, we won't dox you. Don't worry. We
already doxed ourselves. So
yeah, just Scott and Zach is all they have to know.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we love you. Goodbye. Let's get
Bye.
the fuck out of here. Okay, bye.